This is the last lecture of multiple regression. In this lecture, we'll first talk about what are different research goals of regression analysis, and then we'll focus on model specification. Specifically, we'll focus on going over omitted variable bias and joint hypothesis tests. We'll focus more on functional form in Module 4 after the midterm. By the end of this lecture, I'll talk about how do we present and discuss regression results. Different types of regression analysis are used to serve different purposes. For example, you could use regression analysis to predict the weather for the next 10 days. You could use regression analysis to forecast who is going to win the presidential election. You could also use regression analysis to establish the cause and effect for diabetes or lung cancer. No matter which type of regression analysis you're using, you will always start by doing what's called exploratory analysis, through which you will try to identify how variables in the data set are correlated in order to narrow down on the relevant variables that you will use in the regression. We'll see multiple examples of the exploratory analysis in the following slides. In this course, our primary objective is to establish causal effect for our variable of interest, which is very different than doing predictions or forecasting like the models that you see in the time series analysis or in the machine learning course. As a result, what defines a good model for our course does not translate to what defines a good model for forecasting purposes, for example. In our course, a good model is one that renders unbiased and consistent estimates for our variable of interest. For the machine learning course, for example, a good model might be the one that maximizes the R-square of the model. And hence, the criteria for what defines a good model are very different depending on the research objective. And therefore, it's very important that you establish your research question very clearly at the beginning of the analysis. Here's an example of the research question based on the California school dataset. What is the causal effect of class size on test scores? Based on this research question, it's very clear that the purpose of your research is to establish causal effect using cross-sectional data. And the variable of interest in this case is the class size, and the outcome variable in this case is test scores.